You're not going to believe who showed up on this woman's doorstep. No cameras, no press, just Harrison Ford, standing there with a smile and a message that would change her life. And it wasn't for a movie, it was for her. Maria Sanchez, 63, single mom, house cleaner for over 3 decades. She scrubbed other people's floors while raising 2 boys on her own, and never once asked for applause. But that day, someone finally saw her, really saw her. And if you think this is just another celebrity stunt, you're wrong. Because what Harrison Ford did next will make you rethink who the real heroes are. So how did a woman who thought she was invisible become the reason a Hollywood legend knocked on a door in East LA? Let's rewind. Maria Sanchez lived in a little beige house on the edge of Los Angeles, the kind of place people drive past without noticing. Peeling paint, sun-faded curtains, a cracked driveway lined with potted plants she watered like they were friends. She never had much, but she made a life. She made home. Every morning, at 5 a.m., she'd lace up her old sneakers, fill a thermos with black coffee, and catch 2 buses to whatever house needed cleaning that day. Big houses. Fancy houses. Houses with views she couldn't afford to dream about. And then she'd come home, heat up leftover beans and rice, and help her boys with homework. For 32 years. I just wanted them to have more than I did, she'd say. And somehow, despite everything, they did. Miguel got into UCLA. Diego was about to start med school. She never missed a tuition payment, never missed a rent check. But she missed being seen. Because in all those years, no one ever asked her story. No one ever said, "Maria, how did you do it?" Until a strange letter arrived. It was a plain white envelope, no return address, just her name in neat handwriting. She thought it was a bill, maybe something from the doctor's office, but inside was an invitation. We are honored to celebrate Maria Sanchez at the East LA Community Hero Awards. Please join us this Saturday. Her eyebrows knit together. "What is this?" she whispered, holding the paper like it might disappear. She read it 3 times. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. "Me? A hero?" she said out loud, shaking her head. "I clean houses. I'm nobody." She was about to toss it. But her sons stopped her. "Mom," Miguel said gently, "we nominated you. You are somebody. To us. To everyone you've ever helped." But Maria couldn't shake the feeling. She wasn't used to being center stage. Applause made her nervous. Attention felt unnatural. "I don't need a trophy to feel proud," she said quietly. But what she didn't know was that her sons had one more surprise. And he was already on his way. Saturday arrived, the day of the award. But Maria stayed in her robe. She busied herself with laundry, pretending not to care. "I'm not going," she told Diego, folding towels that didn't need folding. "It's just not me." He looked like he was about to argue, then stopped, just glanced at the clock. "Okay, Mommy," he said, and kissed her forehead. At exactly 4:07 p.m., the doorbell rang. Maria wiped her hands on her apron and shuffled over. Probably a neighbor. Maybe a delivery. She opened the door and froze. There he was. Harrison Ford. Yes, that Harrison Ford. wearing a button-down shirt, no entourage, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "You must have the wrong house," she finally stammered. He smiled, gentle and warm. "I was told this is the home of a real-life hero." Her hands trembled, because for once, someone famous wasn't there for a movie. He was there for her. Maria didn't know what to do. Invite him in? Faint? Call someone? Harrison Ford, this man who had outrun boulders, flown the Millennium Falcon, was standing on her porch, talking like they were old friends. "May I come in?" he asked. She blinked. "Of course. I mean, yes. Please." He ducked slightly through the doorway. The living room was modest. Couch with a crochet throw, family photos on the wall, a little statue of the Virgin Mary near the TV. Maria led him to the kitchen, her hands still shaking. She offered him coffee in a mismatched mug. He accepted, like it was fine china. And then he started talking. "Your sons told me about you," he said. "I've played a lot of heroes, but none of them compare to what you've done." Maria looked down, flustered. "It was nothing. I just did what I had to." "No," Harrison said. "You did everything. You raised two men with courage, honor, kindness, all while the world barely noticed." She blinked fast, trying not to cry. And then he said something that would stay with her forever. "You made the world better, and it's time someone thanked you for it." Maria sat there, stunned. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "No one's ever said that to me," she whispered. "I'm not used to being seen." Harrison leaned forward, elbows on her table, like a neighbor dropping by. "That's the thing. People like you should be on magazine covers. You built a life from grit. You gave your kids wings." She looked at the invitation again, still lying unopened on the kitchen counter. "You don't have to go," he said gently, "but I think you deserve to. And if you'll let me, I'd be honored to escort you." Maria covered her mouth. "Wait. You'd take me?" "I already cleared my evening." She glanced toward the back room. Her nicest dress hadn't been worn since her son's high school graduation. Her hair was still pinned from laundry day. But somehow, his calm, unshakable presence made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she could do this. So she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Let's go." The sun was setting as they pulled up to the East LA Community Center. Maria sat in the passenger seat of Harrison Ford's vintage car. Yes, his actual car, wearing her best navy blue dress and the tiniest bit of lipstick. She clutched her purse like a lifeline, her knuckles white. Outside, a modest crowd gathered. Nothing flashy. Just neighbors, community leaders, and a few curious teens snapping pictures, until they realized who was walking through the front doors. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that Harrison Ford?" "Wait, who's the lady?" "She's the one they're honoring." Maria's knees almost gave out, but Harrison offered his arm. "Shall we?" Inside, a man at the podium cleared his throat. "Tonight, we honor someone who spent her life lifting others, a woman whose story deserves a spotlight." Maria's heart raced. She leaned toward Harrison and whispered, This is too much. But he just smiled. Trust me, he said. This is exactly right. And then they called her name. Maria Sanchez. The room went still. All eyes turned. Maria took one shaky breath and stepped forward. Harrison walked with her, one hand gently steadying her back. As they reached the stage, she looked out at a sea of faces, some familiar, some not, but all smiling, all watching her. She clutched the microphone like it might escape. I don't really know what to say, she began. I'm used to cleaning behind the scenes, not being on one. A ripple of laughter, warm, soft, encouraging. She looked over at her sons, front row, beaming. I just did what any mother would do. I worked. I loved. I gave what I had. Sometimes it wasn't enough, but I kept going. A pause. And then, from the side of the stage, Harrison stepped up to the mic. He looked at Maria, then out to the crowd. I've played heroes, he said, but tonight I stand beside one. The room erupted. A standing ovation, people cheering, tears, applause that didn't stop. Maria blinked, stunned. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was seen, fully, finally. After the applause faded and the lights dimmed, people lined up, just to talk to her. Neighbors she'd cleaned for, kids from the local school. A business owner who stepped forward and said, Maria, we're fixing your roof. On the house. She tried to protest, but he waved it off. You've given this community more than most people ever will. Meanwhile, Harrison didn't sneak out the back. He stayed, sat on a folding chair next to Maria, sipping lemonade, chatting like he'd known her for years. He met her grandkids, signed a couple of Star Wars toys, told jokes with Diego and Miguel. At one point, someone asked him, "Why did you come?" He looked at Maria and simply said, "Because greatness should be honored, especially when it's humble." Later that night, back at home, Maria sat quietly on her porch, heels off, dress wrinkled, sunflowers in a vase beside her. Her phone buzzed. A photo had gone viral. Her and Harrison on stage, her hand on her heart, tears in her eyes. The world was starting to hear her story. By morning, Maria's story was everywhere. Local news ran the headline. Hollywood star honors, local cleaning lady, calls her a real-life hero. Then the national outlets picked it up. Good Morning America, CNN, even People magazine. Her Facebook, usually quiet, exploded with friend requests and messages. Strangers were sending emails, thanking her for reminding them what true strength looks like. But it wasn't just online attention. An anonymous donor started a GoFundMe. Within days, it passed $50,000. The comments were filled with things like, "For my mom, who cleaned houses too. Thank you for showing us what real dignity looks like. You're my new favorite hero." And Maria? She didn't change. She still made her morning coffee, still kept her house spotless. But now, when she walked to the market, people stopped her. "Thank you, Maria." She'd smile, always a little shy, but something inside her had shifted. For the first time in her life, she believed them. Weeks passed, then months. And Maria? She didn't go back to cleaning houses, not because she was above it, but because now people were asking her to speak at schools, community centers, even a women's leadership summit. She told her story not with Polish, but with truth. I used to think my life was small, she said once, standing before a room of teenage girls. But I was wrong. What I did mattered. Her voice cracked, but she didn't apologize. I raised two boys with nothing but faith, elbow grease, and love. And now they're healing people, building futures. At the back of the room, a teacher wiped her eyes. Maria had become more than a local hero. She was a symbol, not of pity, but of power. Quiet power. And Harrison? He kept in touch, sent holiday cards, called once just to say, "You still owe me coffee." She laughed. "You got lemonade. Next time, Cafe de Ola." One warm evening, months after that unforgettable day, Maria sat on her porch again. Same old chair, same little vase. But now, her house had new windows, a fresh coat of paint, and a security system she never thought she'd need. Diego came over with a bag of tamales and sat next to her. "Mommy," he said, "you know what you did?" She smiled. "Fed you too much." He shook his head. "You proved that being good, really good, isn't small. It's giant." Maria looked at her hands, the same hands that had scrubbed floors, changed diapers, packed lunches, held back tears. "They're just hands," she said. Diego took one in his. "They built a future." She didn't say anything, just stared at the horizon, soft gold and orange fading into twilight. She used to feel invisible. Now, she felt eternal, because kindness, it turns out, leaves fingerprints that don't fade. When reporters asked Maria what it felt like to go from unnoticed to honored by a Hollywood legend, she always gave the same answer. "I didn't need a celebrity to make me proud. But I'm glad the world finally saw the kind of people it usually forgets." And that's the thing. This wasn't about a movie star. It was about a mom, a woman who never stopped showing up, never stopped believing her love could outwork poverty, exhaustion, and silence. And guess what? It did. Her story didn't end in struggle. It ended in recognition. But more importantly, it inspired thousands of others, mothers, immigrants, caregivers, to lift their heads a little higher. Because Maria's life proved one simple truth. You don't have to be famous to be unforgettable. You just have to love without limits and keep going. Today, there's a photo that hangs in the East LA Community Center. It shows Maria Sanchez on stage, hand over her heart, standing beside Harrison Ford. Two heroes, one who wore a fedora on screen and one who wore an apron in real life. Underneath, a plaque reads, "True strength is found in those who give everything, expecting nothing." Maria still lives in the same little house. She still waters her plants, still hugs her sons like they're 5 years old. But now, her story travels farther than she ever dreamed. And it reminds every person watching that greatness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it scrubs floors quietly, packs school lunches, skips doctor visits to pay tuition, and sometimes, just sometimes, it opens the door to find Harrison Ford holding sunflowers, saying, I heard this is where the real heroes live.